listening to the JohnAge Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the AnomicAge, and I am your host, JohnAge. Happy to be back with you once again in the not-so-wee hours of the PM. Thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon. I won't take up too much of your time. Please join us at AnomicAge.com. If you're new to the game, that's where you can find all things me. iPhone app, Android app, paypal.me/AnomicAge, patreon.com/AnomicAge as well. All the shows, if you're new to the game on YouTube, that you'll never see on YouTube again. They're just not going to be there, folks. But they're at AnomicAge.com. Hundreds of them with guests, without guests, and everything in between right there at AnomicAge.com. What else we got? Buy me a cup of coffee to Cash App. So much more at AnomicAge.com. So check it out. If you have not already done so, please do so right now. It's also streaming live. So if you're tuning into anything else and you're having difficulty, go to AnomicAge.com. It should be there live for you as well. So do it. Stuff to get into because I know we don't have a lot of time in these waning hours of the daylight. I might very well come back tonight because I got a lot to talk about, of course. A lot to talk about. Took the weekend off as far as the show goes, but I'm hitting you with all barrels, all guns blazing right about now this week. Putting it down. Title of today's episode is Losing Heart. Losing Heart. And of course, the lovely artwork by yours truly, Don't Lose Heart. And it's a tough sell to not lose heart out there in the world that we live in today, folks, because it is just a morass of stuff. I'll just try to keep things as clean as I can, but it is absolutely a morass of stuff. Let me give you a little James, though. Friendship with the world is enmity with God. So, we're not called upon to be friends with the world, to like the world we live in, to just bask, enjoy it, and otherwise just avail ourselves of the fruits of this sinful, fallen world. We're not. So that's the good news. The bad news is it's easy to lose heart. You know, to paraphrase a little Braveheart, I don't want to lose heart. It's a good line also used by a band out of Greensboro called Kill Whitney Dead. Lovely sample in one of their songs. But you don't want to lose heart. And it's so easy to do because the world would have you believe that there's just nowhere to turn sometimes. There's just nothing else to count on. You know, it flies in direct contrast to the Bad Religion song, Faith Alone. Faith alone won't sustain us anymore. You know, as often as I look back at a lot of these punk rock gems from my youth, they just don't square up. And I believe the more you get involved in the Bible and in your faith, the more you will really come to the realization of the fact that the stuff that you might have been involved in, you might have liked, loved, and just thought was okay, man. It just wasn't. It wasn't, man. I won't give you names here, but somebody I was talking to, it was actually about last year this time. And we were talking about going to punk shows and all that stuff, and both of us kind of in the same demographic and dare I say, in the same faith walk, for sure. But he was saying, you know, it's hard to go support these bands that just wouldn't support me. And that's so true, man. Like so many of the bands that I loved, grew up liking their music and blah, 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 they would hate me. Like they're not my friends. They're not going to be down with me. They're not going to be down with who I am. But I suppose coincidentally enough, just as I'm not down with who they are. So just as that action's got to have that equal and opposite reaction, you know, to believe in something is to disbelieve something else. To avow something is to disavow something else. So, I mean, there is that just ever-present yin and the yang. The binary opposition as discussed by Claude Levi-Strauss in French structuralism. I want to go all the way back to the Marx and the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. I guess it's just inevitable that those two have to conflict. But it is hard to stomach some of that stuff sometimes. I still like some of the Bad Religion music, the old stuff specifically, but I can't get down with it, man. Faith alone won't sustain us anymore. It's just not true. I think we have to have faith. We have to have heart. And it's ever so hard to do when the going gets tough. You know, that old 80s song, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yeah. Billy Ocean. Love me some Billy Ocean. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I think that's the way we really need to look at things, though, folks, because, man, I'm pulling songs out the hat today. Never promised you a rose garden. Another 80s gem. That's so true, though, folks. We were never promised a rose garden. Adam and Eve were given the garden. They mucked all that up, so we got to deal with the thorns. We got to deal with the earth and the toil and the soil and the pain and all that stuff. So, in fact, I guess we did kind of get promised something, but it wasn't a rose garden. We were promised to have to go through some toil, and we are. So I think we all need to sort of remind ourselves of that sometimes. You know, we easily get caught up in the social media game, easily get caught up into comparing ourselves to the Joneses. Another great gem by the Circle Jerks. Mrs. Joe's neighbor Sam. Yeah, we got to stop comparing ourselves to everybody else. Especially in today's age, because what you see is not the reality. So you might see somebody just living the best life in the world in the nethersphere of the intraweb, but that does not mean, in fact, that that's really what's going down. That just means that's what they are showing you. You're not getting that telescopic view from Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. You're getting the very carefully crafted, whitewashed, AI, all kinds of filters on, all that good life. The good life. Indeed. That's what you're seeing from all these people. Nobody's going to show you the bad life. Not going to show it to you, ladies and gentlemen. Not going to show it to you. So Ye didn't make a song called The Bad Life. It was The Good Life. Because that's what everybody wants you to see and perceive as reality. But in fact, we're all going through our trials, tribulations. We all have our cross to bear. We really do. Hopefully it's not going to be as horrific as Job's suffering. We've all got to go through some. And I've gone through a lot in the last few years. And I've dealt with a whole lot of heart loss. I'm here to tell you, folks, I went through a long time of just heart loss. I just said, mess on this. It's all just a bunch of whatever, a bunch of nonsense. And I really did fall into the dark side a little bit and kind of took on a little bit of that old persona, which you don't need. Really don't. Ain't good for you. And I would not say that I'm finished with my grieving or finished with my soul searching and absolutely, positively not finished with my faith walk. Still got a long way to go, but I'm trying, as the drunks say, to live one day at a time, to put one foot in front of the other and find a reason each day to not fall victim and become prey to the dark side. I joke a lot in here on this program and in the personal about the dark side of the force. But it really is that balance. You got to really extricate yourself from the darkness sometimes. You got to pull yourself away from the sin. You got to say, hey, this ain't that time. It's not ever really that time. Take those baby steps and don't lose heart. It's hard to do, folks. It really is. When you hear all this fluffy talk sometimes by some of these influencers, they would have you believe that they just jump out of bed, high-five the sun, and just moonwalk their way to brushing their teeth, skip down the hallway to a organically fresh-cooked meal, and just go about their day of pleasantries. Maybe somebody's got that going on. I hope so, man. I hope somebody does. But it ain't me. And if you listen to the show, I would hazard a guess that it probably ain't you either. Just isn't, folks. So it's easy to lose heart. It really is. Especially in the world that we live in today. I mentioned this on the last episode, but if we just keep buying into the media blitz from the germs, if we keep buying into that nonsense, it will put you in a hole. So you got to turn that stuff off. You got to turn off the people. Sometimes you got to turn off the music. What does the Bible say? You know, if your eyes causing you to sin and your hand, you got to chop it off and pull it out. All right. I don't want anybody cutting any hands off or pulling out any eyes. But you can take those steps to remove yourself from the sin, to take yourself out of the game if you need to. Put yourself in timeout, man. I've joked with my daughter about this tons of times over the years. I'm going to put myself in timeout. As we get older, we like to think we somehow have it all figured out and we don't need to put ourselves in timeout. We don't need to take a walk by ourselves sometime. Take a drive by yourself. I love the nighttime drives, folks. Love it. Take a night drive. That's my thing, man. That's my jam. Take a night drive sometimes and just see if you can figure some of this mess out. Cut off the music, cut off the phone. Just focus on thyself sometimes. I bet you this 2 shows ago. To thy own self be true. Most people don't know who thy own self is. That's a whole other ball of wax. Most people have no idea who thyself is. You've been told who you are from mom and dad and from your friends and from teachers and institutions, but you've lost sight of the realness. And if you lose sight of the realness, you can easily lose hearts. That was a terrible series of movies that we had to watch in 8th grade. Never forget. This is so wild, man. This could never be allowed now, I know. 8th grade, I remember, as a school, as a class, I know, but I swear I think it was a school. We watched Gone with the Wind, and then we watched Roots. And then we watched some other mess called Eyes on the Prize. Oh, Lord. I know. Who would have thought it, huh? But, where's my picture? There we go. But the realness is, we really do have to keep our eyes on the prize. We do, folks. So you got to keep your eyes on the prize, a.k.a. the Lord. You got to keep your eyes on that prize, folks. And I think when we actually do that, we begin to strip away some of this worldly nonsense. We absolutely do. I was going to put this quote up there for you, and I just didn't do it. My heavens. Here we go. Throw this on the screen. 2 Corinthians 4:16 through 18. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them. So, we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Man, that's beautiful. Makes everything I said just seem trite and boring. It surmised everything I was trying to say so succinctly. We got to focus on that internal. We got to focus on that unseen sometimes, folks. I love the Bible calling you to do the unseen sometimes. Remember the prayer closet? You're supposed to pray in secret, in private. Have that private relationship with God. It's not something you need to put out there on the street corner. Start praying and waving your hands on the street corner so everybody can see. You know, maybe that's just me, but that's not how I roll. And I think this is saying much the same, is focusing on that internal, focusing on that private. The external might be crud. The external might be, man, my car's breaking down. I need a new roof. Somebody's sick at the house. Somebody's dying. It's all just temporary, folks. It really is. Some minor threat. It's all just in flux. It is. It's all changing. Nothing changes but the date sometimes. Or it can seem that way when we get bogged down and get caught up in all this nonsense. But the truth of the matter is, it's all temporary. It's all changing. Life on earth is but a flash of dawn. We're all part of it as the day rolls on. That's spot on for bad religion. See, they gave us a little something bad. Sometimes they sprinkle a little something good in there. It is but a flash of dawn, folks. Man, I'm 47 years old. Sometimes I think about life. It seems like 2 days ago I was 16. Really. And I'm sure in about a blink of an eye, I'm going to be 60. I'm going to be 70, God willing. So we only have a finite amount of time on this mortal coil. And it's easy to lose heart and get bogged down in it, but I'm just here to try to say, hey, if I can get through some of this mess of the last few years, so can you. And I know somebody out there's topping me with the poor mouthing. Somebody's going, well, I lost my, yeah, and then I lost my, yeah, it turns into a country song, don't it? Cool. So I know somebody's had it way worse than me. Hats off to you. But don't lose heart. Don't do the heart loss thing. Take some time by yourself. Take some time in the Word. Take some time trying to sort things out without the jibber-jabber of the nonsensical world trying to tell you how to live and what to do. And, oh, well, you don't worry. It's going to be, You know, we've all heard that nonsense. Sometimes you just got to chill. You got to be by yourself. You got to hammer these things out between you and God, between you and the world even. That's about all I got to say about that. Don't lose hearts. You can't do everything, but you can do something. Like not losing hearts. Be safe out there. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the AnomicAge.
Thank you for listening to the AnomicAge, a JohnAge project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to AnomicAge.com. That's AnomicAge.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to the AnomicAge.
Thank you.